Hey guys, first of all, I want to wish you a Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.
It's January 2020, and first of all, let me start out. We would really appreciate if you guys would hit subscribe, and if you like the video, hit like. Also hit that bell icon if you want to follow along and get anytime we put up a video that's related to saddle hunting. If it's something you're interested in, it'll come up, and we'd really appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely, guys. Appreciate the support.
Yes. What we wanted to do is we were thinking that, it's a new year, and I think especially like after the holidays, I noticed a lot of people following on some of the forums and everything. A lot of people got saddles for Christmas, and I think this year was the year, in the last 2 years, but especially this year, it exposed a lot of people to saddle hunting. And there's a lot of people who are tuning in and trying to research and get into it, and they've been exposed to it and they see the benefits of it. And we thought it'd be a good idea to make a video that will be basically like a saddle hunting 101. There's a couple of other guys who've put videos out. There's a lot of information out there. We're just going to give you our take on it and see if we can add to it. First of all, I think one question a lot of people have is, what's the big deal about saddle hunting? Why would I want to get into saddle hunting? I have tree stands. I hunt. Maybe I have a climber. Why do I want to get into saddle hunting? And I think for us as mobile hunters who go way back, sometimes we hunt 2 miles, 3 miles back. When you got a humped in, the saddle makes that very, very easy, because as you can see right now, I'm basically wearing my tree stand. This is my saddle. I'm wearing it. I put it on at my truck. I walk in, and I don't have a big climber on my back. I don't have to carry a bunch of weight. In my personal setup, what I was using, I was going with the Summit Climber, or what I was getting into recently was taking sticks and a Hawk Helium setup. I shaved about 25 to 27 pounds off of my setup, getting away from that stuff and going in wearing my saddle and using the climbing method that we use, which is DRT. Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit later, but I thought what I'd do is give you guys just the basic fundamentals of what you're going to need. And there's a lot of questions. People, they hear a lot of terms when they're trying to follow along on forums and everything. And we thought we'd give you a breakdown on what you're going to need and what the different aspects of it are. So for starters, you're going to need a saddle. There's a lot of guys who, when they first got into the whole saddle hunting concept, some guys, what they would do to save money, they would wear maybe like a rock climbing harness and use what's called a sit drag. The sit drag would be something that would go around their body. It would have a bridge on it. It would attach to a tether on the tree. And the sit drag would make it more comfortable, but the rock climbing harness would basically provide their safety, their full restraint, right? Yep. So your saddle basically is all that built in one. So I'm wearing, this is probably the most popular saddle on the market right now. This one's called the Tethered Mantis. I've been running this for 2 years. I really like it a lot. There's a lot of other good saddles that are out there. Scott runs the Aero Hunter Kestrel Flex. Yep. He loves that. I really like that saddle as well. What you're going to find with the Aero Hunter Kestrel Flex, tends to cup under you a little bit better, and it's a very comfortable, well-made saddle. I'd say those two are probably the two front runners in the industry. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of other good ones out there. There's H2, there's Trophy Line, there's JX3. The JX3 Hybrid is a little bit different in that it's kind of more of a seat, so it's not as minimalist. But I've never sat in one, but from what I hear, it's about as comfortable as they get. So there's that. You're going to want to look at some of the different. Styles that are out there as far as saddles and stuff. And there's a whole range when it comes to money. I would say on average your saddles are going to go anywhere from about $300 on down to about $150 of an investment. when you're saddle hunting, you're going to want to use, you don't have to use a platform, but you'll find that it'll be more comfortable. What I have here right now on this tree here, this is a tree that we put in our garage. It's, we put this in here so that we can do some demonstrations and show you guys, how we do things and not have to find a nice tree outside. But I personally use a Predator platform. Scott is using what's called a Ridge Runner. It's a little bit different, but it's the same concept. I really like the Predator platform. Just gonna kind of show you how this guy works here. Predator platform is basically a lot like, it's like a small lock-on tree stand, really. That's all it is. Small little platform. It's got a strap that goes around, catches on. Wrap it around, cinch it tight. And what we really like about this Predator platform is pretty much once you cinch it tight, push down on it, you lock it in, pretty much first time every time it's dead solid. It's very, very good. Really, really happy with this platform. Let's see, what else? Your saddle. Like I said, I'm running a tethered Mantis saddle. There's different parts to your saddle that you're going to want to learn about. You'll hear people talk about the bridge. This particular bridge on the tethered Mantis is an Amsteel bridge. It's actually a very, if you look at it, it's kind of a thin rope. But this thing it's Amsteel. Amsteel is very, very strong. And I think this thing has something like about a 6,000 pound tensile strength. So it's very solid. The saddles, the saddles that are out there from some of your major manufacturers, they're designed to carry about 5,000 pounds of weight. Okay, so they're very, very solid, very strong. You're not going to have to worry about them as long as you're wearing it right and you're doing. You should inspect them. You should make sure that if you have any types of knots or anything on them, that make sure your knots are done right, inspected for any kind of wear. One of the things that we notice a lot, I see a lot of questions about the tethered Mantis, which is pretty much your most popular saddle that's out there. On the Amsteel bridge, there's sometimes you get these little tufts that are here, and that's very, very common. I've seen a lot of questions on a lot of the forums. It's very common. It's not anything that you need to worry about. I'm going to show you. I'm going to stand up here on this platform and kind of show you how this works. You're going to need a tether. Your tether is basically just like what you would use when you're deer hunting in a tree stand and you use a hunter safety system. Your tether is going to basically wrap around the tree. And what I like to do, just a quick little trick here, I like to pull it through like this and kind of girth hitch my tether. The reason I like to do that is when I cinch it up tight where I want it, you probably notice sometimes you'll have your tether, when you pull it tight, a lot of times they'll flop down on you. But when you do it this way, once you cinch it up tight, it girth hitches the tether, it won't move. So it'll stay right where you put it. So when you're in your saddle, I should actually move this up a little bit higher. You're going to have a Prusik knot, or what a lot of guys like to use on here is what's called a ropeman. There's probably a little bit of debate over using the ropeman or the Prusik. We feel that staying on a Prusik is safer, but there's a lot of guys that use the ropeman. The ropeman's it's an approved descender. You could use it, but I know Scotty, for one, he's not a real big fan of that. But you basically, when you're in your saddle, you're sitting like this. You tether into your tree. Your tether goes around the tree. You're going to have either a prusik or a ropeman here. A ropeman is nice because it's nice and easy to adjust. It's going to attach to your tether, and you're going to sit in. What I probably should have done is put some knee pads on. It's really important when you're tethered in to wear a good set of knee pads, because you're going to find that when you're sitting, you're going to want to, a lot of times you can sit right in and keep your knees against the tree. It'll just keep you a lot more comfortable. One of the real benefits to saddle hunting is your mobility around the tree. When you're in a tree stand, you know, it's basically the opposite. When you're in a tree stand, you're facing with your back is to the tree. You're looking away. You're using your balance as your primary thing that's keeping you in the tree, and then you're going to have a hunter safety system just in case you slip and fall, right? Totally different in a saddle. In a saddle, your fall restraint system is the saddle itself. That's what's keeping you in the tree at all times. And you know, what I found is that if you look at this tree, this would actually be a pretty small tree for a tree stand. But with saddle hunting, I can go into a tree actually probably half that size, and you could actually hunt smaller trees. And the cool thing about saddle hunting is that, you know, when you're in your saddle, you know, you can work your way all the way around this tree. You know, there's pretty much nothing. There's no side to this tree that I can't get to. It's movement. You're going to want to minimize your movement and everything, but I can get a shot 360 degrees around this tree. Okay. Some guys, they asked the question about shooting out of a saddle, and Scotty and I think we both have found that you can actually be more stable shooting out of a saddle than you can out of a tree stand. When you're in a tree stand, you're using your balance to stand, and then you're going to, you know, especially if there's a deer coming by, you're going to be trying to get on that deer, and you're trying to keep your balance. With this, you're tethered in. Me personally, I like to, whenever I'm shooting at a deer, I like to get my knees against the tree. Wherever I can, you know, stay in close to the tree, stay strong side. And what it's basically doing is I've got pressure from my tether keeping me into the tree, and then also once I've got that other point of contact with my legs against the tree, I'm very, very solid. Right. And I just find that I'm not as shaky when I'm shooting out of a saddle as I am when I'm shooting out of a tree stand.
Yeah, you would think of it along the lines of like if you were going to take a shot with a rifle or a shotgun. Now, if you brace that gun up against the tree, it
Right.
makes you more secure.
Right.
Well, that there is your brace.
That's it. Yeah. I've even found too that there was a couple of times when I was shooting, and I'd have to turn away and shoot. I could actually get my elbow into, get my elbow into here, and when my bow is back, it's actually like steadying my elbow, and I can actually, there's a lot of, you've got to practice this, but it's more stable. You'll feel more stable shooting out of a saddle once you've practiced it and got comfortable with it than you ever would out of a tree stand.
And if you go back to what you were taught as far as an archer, that whenever you shoot, what do? You always bend at the waist, to keep that 3-point aiming, that triangle. You always want to keep it the same, no matter when you're following that deer and when you're shooting. Now, this is doing that exactly. This has got you at your waist, at your midway point. It's just adding more stability. It's rock solid when it comes to shooting.
This is another thing I wanted to show you. One of the things that you'll find when you're saddle hunting is for comfort. We get the question all the time: is it comfortable? Can I sit in it all day? Absolutely, you can. In fact, there was a lot of times this year I was hunting out of old tree stands that I had in the woods, and I would wear my saddle in, and instead of using a safety harness, I would just tether into the tree with my saddle and utilize my old tree stand platform, and I'd hunt out of it. And I was actually, me personally, I was more comfortable in my saddle than I was in most of my stands. Now I have like a Summit Climber. That Summit Climber is pretty hard to beat for comfort.
True.
It's not as comfortable as my Summit Climber, but it's more comfortable than some of the cheaper seats on some of the other tree stands that I have. So,
But again, your shooting ability out of the saddle compared to your climber,
Right.
it's just,
Right.
you know,
And one of the
heads and
things-
tails above it, you know.
Yeah, and
You got
one of-
so many more options in a saddle than you would in a stationary climber
Yeah.
or, you know, lock-on stand.
you know what's cool too about it is when you got your tree stand someplace, especially if it's something that you're leaving there, it's a good spot. You leave your tree stand in there. You know, everybody knows where you're hunting. Well,
Right.
with a saddle, you
Nobody
get
knows
in,
where
nobody knows where you're hunting. You know?
Exactly.
So it's a little bit more discreet. It's kind of nice for that. But just wanted to show you on a saddle, it's a very good idea to get what's called a recliner. Recliner is nothing more than a strap. It basically installs on the saddle. It ties into your bridge.
Just another comfort factor, isn't it?
Yeah, and this is it's a little item, and you might not necessarily have to go and buy one. You could probably make
You
one
can
out of
make
a
one.
strap.
Yeah, I made one for mine, but I tell you what, it's
It makes it feel like it's twice as large.
it does. It actually does.
It grabs you under here.
This year, starting off, and I wasn't even using it, you know, until you'll notice the longer you sit in a saddle, how much this really plays into it. You know,
Yeah.
as far as comfort goes, that little piece of
Yeah, that
little fabric is
gives you some support in your back, so you're not just sitting
Right.
there and kind of holding your body a certain
Right,
way.
exactly.
Now you can kind of lean into it. It gives you. It almost makes me feel like the entire saddle is much larger, like I'm almost like sitting in a hammock.
Exactly.
And you know, I find that it's very comfortable. I can still get my hands in my pockets. I hunt wearing a Fanatic jacket when it gets cold,
Yeah.
and that's got a nice like a kangaroo pouch, and
Yeah.
it worked out pretty good. I can get my hands in here,
Yeah.
very comfortable.
Yeah, and on the Fanatic, that kangaroo pouch actually comes through your bridge.
Yeah.
So you're actually reaching around your bridge and you're getting your hands in it. So
Yeah.
you can utilize that, you know, just the same as if you didn't have a saddle on.
Yep, works really good. So you know, as you can see here, this is basically how you're set up. You know, make sure you get yourself a pair of knee pads. That really does help a lot because you can sit right into it like that.
And you'll find that during the course of your hunt, you know, you're going to switch up positions and stuff.
Yeah.
It's it's a definite, it's for comfort more than anything. But you know, you'll move from standing to leaning to kneeling where your knees are into the tree.
Just like you do with your tree stand,
Exactly,
probably, right?
right. Yeah, from sitting
Yeah,
to
you
standing.
sit for a while.
Right,
You might
right.
stand. You might lean.
But it's I tell you what, I've found I can fall asleep a lot easier in the saddle
Yeah.
than I can in my, I mean, not that you want to, but I tell you.
It's that comfortable.
When you're pulling a long shift in a saddle, I mean, it really is. It's amazing how much more comfortable it is than sitting in a tree stand,
Yeah.
And like I said, Joe said in the beginning, you guys got to experiment a little bit with the saddles out there. It would be great if you could get if you could find it like meet and greets where you can meet up with a bunch of guys so you could try out different saddles. I don't know, saddles are kind of, I kind of think of it along the lines as when you go to purchase a bow, you'd want to shoot 4 or 5 different bows just to find the one that fits with you exact.
Yeah.
Like as you say, Joe and I are totally 2 different builds. And I run the Kestrel Flex, he runs the Mantis, both 2 great saddles. I like a little bit more of that support under my legs, especially since I do a lot of my climbing is on the DRT on the rope, so it doesn't ride up on me as much. But I did find that in this late season though, when I had all the heavier clothing on, that switching over to a Tether was even that much more comfortable. So that's something you may want to consider too. It's great, for the DRT to get me into the tree. I like running that probably 90% of my hunts. But I'm finding later I go into the season, the colder it gets, and I really got to get that heavier clothing on, that no matter what saddle you have on you with that big bulky clothing, it's going to tend to ride up a little bit on you. So, Joe kept telling me, I'm telling you, just switch over, transition from your DRT rope to your Tether and just see how you like that. And the first time I did it, and then I threw that recliner, that little back band in there, and I like I said, it doesn't get any more comfortable, guys. It keeps you in that tree for that long haul, for that that all day sit if you have to. All right, guys. So now we kind of touched on, different types of saddles, comfort-wise, use of a platform. So now there's a few options out there to get you into a tree. Like I was talking before, I'm a big fan of this Drt Climbing. I've used this for a number of years in the arborist field as a tree climber, and I just felt it was just an easy transition to kind of marry that hunting saddle to my work saddle, and for me it just works really well. And like I said, we have a lot of videos out there really showcasing that and how to do it, the ins and outs of it. There's still there's the stick method. You can purchase a set of sticks. Joe and I both have sticks that we use as well too.
Yeah. Sometimes like we're real big fans of using rope climbing methods, and we climb DRT, but there's also SRT, which is a little bit easier than DRT, but it costs more money.
Right.
So you can kind of explore that. We got a lot of videos on that, so you can kind of explore our videos for that. But then there's sticks. If you go on like Saddle Hunter, there's a lot of guys who spend a lot of time modifying sticks. It's pretty cool too, because they'll buy a stock stick, cut them down to the length that they want, so they can make it a little bit lighter, shorter, easier to pack in.
Yeah, definitely. For packability, some of these guys, they got it down to a science, man. They'll cut their sticks down just to the right length. That they don't go outside the outline of their pack. So between their sticks and their platform, securing everything on it, it's a nice mobile system.
Yeah. This is a stock XOP stick, and then the only thing we did that I did to mod this one is I put stealth strips. I love stealth strips. These things are awesome because they great camouflage patterns on them. They're a little bit cooler to the touch, and they'll make them a little bit more quiet. You can apply them on just about anything, and they're really good stuff. I did that. I put some rope mods, and the reason I did the rope mods is twofold. Usually sticks will come, like if you bought, a lot of guys are using the Hawk sticks or the XOP sticks or some of the others, they'll have a straplet, kind of like a buckle on them, and they can be a little bit, number one, they're a little bit heavier because of the metal on it, and they can be potentially more noisy. They can clang, that metal buckle.
When you're going to throw that buckle around to grab it on the other side, if it hits against you, it's going to ding.
Right. So it's
going to make some noise.
Yep. So what we did is we did a rope mod on here, and I would recommend, if you're looking into doing rope mods, what's it, DIY Sportsman. He's got a lot of really good information on his page about that, and we basically copied what he's doing.
Right.
And I think, what would we use? 8mm? Is that 8mm?
That's 8mm. Yeah.
So we used an 8mm accessory cord. Yeah. I bought this stuff on Amazon. 8mm accessory cord, camouflage, and and the nice thing about it is, the straps that your sticks come with, they're usually about 6-8 feet long, something like that.
Somewhere in those lines.
Yeah, and
I think maybe you can get around, I guess maybe around a 20-inch diameter tree. I think that's about max.
Yeah, what we did is I put longer ropes on.
Right, we put 10 to 12
So now
feet
I can get into a bigger tree with these than I ordinarily would be able to get into with a stock strap.
Right.
So that's something you can look into and explore. But like Scotty was saying, there's multiple ways to get up in the tree.
Right.
And you just got to figure out what works for you.
Yeah, Wild Edge makes a product. They call it, make a Wild Edge step.
Yeah, those are awesome.
They cam over. Another good
way to get up there.
Way to get into a tree.
Yeah.
There's several ways to do it. You just got to find out which works best for you. And like I said, Joe and I, we use a lot of different techniques. It's not just one fits all. It all depends where we're at, what tree we need to get into, and that's going to dictate what method we use. Yeah,
we always say in a lot of our videos we like to have as many tools in the toolbox as possible.
Absolutely. Yes.
This way you can be versatile. No two spots are alike. You're never going to find two trees that are identical.
Right.
So sometimes you got like a really big, huge tree, and that's another great thing about saddle hunting. Another reason when people say, why would I want to get into saddle hunting? With a saddle, those really huge oaks, those real big giant trees that you can't get a tree stand in.
No. Even our sticks with our rope mods, we still can't get.
We can't get it. But what we can do now is, I don't care how big that tree is. with a rope climbing method, either DRT or SRT, and a saddle, I can get in that tree.
Right. We could throw ball line into that tree over a limb, pull our rope over, clip into our bridge, and we're up and hunting within 5 minutes.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the thing. The saddles give you a lot of versatility. They make you more versatile. You know, the tree stands are great. You know, we still have a bunch of them and we still hunt at them. Mm-hmm. But the saddle just makes that whole world that much greater. You just have a lot more opportunities. So I don't know, what else we can really expand on here for like the basics of saddle hunting. I talked about, platforms. Mm-hmm. There's guys who use platforms. There's also guys who will just use steps. Some guys will use a ring of steps.
Right.
Also, I even have, if you look in some of our videos, I've got videos where we don't need steps sometimes.
Right,
sometimes the limbs work out.
Yeah, if you got a good horizontal limb,
yeah,
that's going to serve the same purpose.
Yeah,
absolutely.
so,
Yep.
But it is really nice. It's nice to have the platform because when you do have the platform, it's kind of nice when you're in there and you can stand up on a platform. Maybe you want to adjust your saddle.
Sure.
You find you do that, so it is nice to have. You're going to want, when you're saddle hunting, you're going to want to get yourself a good pack. Right. So you can bring your stuff in, carry your stuff in.
Something that'll fit all your stuff, yeah. I run a Sitka tool bucket, and it's 1,900 square inches, like cubic inches, I think that's how they configure it. And I can fit, 75 feet of this rope coiled up in it, my throw ball in my throw ball bag. I can put the Predator platform inside of it. I run the Ridge Runner, yeah, from out on a limb.
Yep.
It's a little bit wider, but I strap that to the outside of my pack. Another good platform if you guys want to look into that as well. So yeah, other than that, everything pretty much with the saddle hunting gig, and like I said, if you do it, if you do it this way, everything fits in your backpack on your back, and you're just basically walking in the woods holding your bow, and like I said, it just doesn't get any easier than that. Yeah. And then even if you got to strap 3 or 4 sticks to your back, it's a great way to be mobile for a mobile hunter, to get in. One of the things that Joe was touching on before when you said, going in with a tree stand, it's not even so much the weight when you're going in. There's nothing worse than, you're trying to sneak into an area and your stand's on your back and it's getting hung up on every vine and pricker bush and that's making noise as well too. And like I said, it's just, not that I'm knocking stands, I got plenty of them, but I think this is just another tool. Yeah. And that's basically what we preach all the time. It's better to have more than less.
I wanted to touch on another aspect too of the saddles. Depending on how you're climbing, you wouldn't necessarily need this when you're climbing with any of the rope climbing methods. But if you're using sticks or steps of any type, what I highly recommend is that you get yourself a lineman belt as well.
Right.
Your lineman belt is going to I tell you, even if you're somebody that's not into saddle hunting and you're just into using tree stands, get yourself a lineman belt because it makes your life a lot easier.
Yeah. You always want to have 2 points of contact on a tree, always.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the safest way to go, without a doubt.
And what I have here on mine is I keep my lineman constantly fastened on one side to a D-loop. And then what I have on here is a ropeman. Ropeman it's an ascender, and what'll happen is once this guy is clipped in place, let me just show you here. Just stand up
here. Yeah, your ropeman on a tether is used. It's a positioning device, and it's a one-handed.
So, when you have a lineman, it's going to hold. You're basically hands-free with a lineman belt. And when you're climbing with a set of steps or sticks or whatever, when you're hanging your next stick, it's nice. You're on here, you're on your step. Now you can work hands-free. You got 2 hands to do whatever you're going to do. And then what happens is with the ropeman, the nice thing about the ropeman is it's very easy to adjust. So if I want to pull it in tighter, all I have to do is grab the rope and I can just pull it in like that. if I want to come away, all I have to do is pull. There's like a little, it's probably not the best angle for you guys to see it, but I'll show it a little closer here. There's basically,
It's a cammed cleat.
it's a cam, and when you pull away on it, it'll open it up, and it will allow it to be adjusted like that. And then when I'm clipped onto something, if I want to pull myself in tighter, all I got to do is pull the rope, and it's one hand. You can just do everything from one hand. Very, very easy. This thing is
That
like,
cam is one way, so as soon as he goes to put his weight back into it, all right, that cleat bites into the rope, and that keeps him there.
yeah, these things are great. A lot of guys will use them even on their tethers. We're not a big fan of that. We made a video just having a discussion about that. We're not a real fan of that, but it is nice. When you do use it, it's very, very easy to adjust, and you can do it. A lot of people do, but it's this thing is fantastic. I think they're about $45, and it's a really good investment. You're going to definitely want to invest in one of these. Another thing we want to talk about, I made a video just a couple months ago about it, but just want to just touch on it again with your carabiners. Make sure, what would you say, you were like 25 kilonewtons and greater, right?
Yes. You should owe nothing. Don't run any equipment that's less than that. I mean, that's kind of a good starting point. 25 kN, which is kilonewton. That's
I think a kilonewton is like 250 pounds. Is that right? About right.
Yeah, I don't know offhand right now.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'll let you do the research on it, but I think 1 kilonewton is about.
No, it can't be, because kilo is 1,000.
Well, yeah, I know, but that's
So-
a metric unit
Right.
measurement. But I think in pounds, I'm pretty sure. I thought I looked it up, and it was around 250 pounds.
No, you're
per-
probably right, because 25 kN, right, would that work out? I don't know.
I think 25 cans is like 5,000 pounds.
It is. It
Yeah,
is
so
around there.
whatever that works out to.
Yeah.
But at any rate, if you're going to be climbing, listen, don't use anything for climbing that isn't designed for climbing.
Right.
Make sure spend the money.
Right. Yeah, don't go to Home Depot
Yeah.
and buy your equipment.
Yeah.
All right, because it's designed to hold your keys.
Right.
Not your body weight.
Right. Yeah, and you'd be surprised. We've heard some stories about some guys trying to cut some corners and they almost killed themselves. So
Right.
we don't
Right.
safety first.
Yep.
Absolute safety
Always.
first with all of this stuff. And the saddles that are out there, I highly recommend. Especially there's a lot of guys that are trying to get into saddle hunting, and it's like anything else, it can get expensive, right?
Sure.
It's an investment. I mean,
Hobbies aren't cheap.
yeah, I mean, your saddles are running anywhere from probably about on the most inexpensive end. I don't know what, like, I think the H2s are some of your more inexpensive ones, and I think they're just about $150, something like that, somewhere in that ballpark. And then there's some saddles that are close to $350, $400 bucks.
Exactly.
So, but you know what? Just
No different than buying a good tennis racket.
right, yeah. I mean, just don't chintz. I mean, there's guys who really want to get into saddle hunting, and there's a lot of DIY guys, and I'm not opposed to anything that's DIY. Just make sure that you do it right and safe.
Exactly.
Because
and do it at this level.
Yeah.
All right. Test everything at ground level, 2 feet off the ground.
Yeah.
Don't test it at 25 feet.
Yeah.
That's a hard lesson.
There's a lot of guys making, I've seen guys making their own sticks and everything, and it's cool if you're really good at, and you know what you're doing, and you do it right. It might be even better than some of the stuff that's out there being manufactured. But
Right.
just make sure it's done right. You don't want to take a fall because you try to save a couple of bucks on something.
Exactly.
So I think that's about it. I mean, we're trying to
The other thing I could touch on as far as saddles go, because we were talking about different saddles comparison points, and at the time I didn't have mine on, but this is the Kestrel Flex, and the only difference between really, other than, the Mantis is definitely much lighter mesh fabric. The difference with this is this has a 6-inch cleat in it, so like what I was talking about before. So this kind of covers more.
kind of cups under you a little
Right.
bit
So
better.
when you're sitting in, when you're clipped into your bridge, it kind of cups under you more into a seating position. And other than that, this has has an adjustable bridge where the Mantis doesn't.
Yeah,
The Mantis
that's
has
a nice
fixed
feature.
So this is nice. And then one of the things I do is that, when I am climbing on a DRT, all right, I want to start off with my bridge very short because I want everything right in front of me.
Yep.
I want all of my knots right in front of me, so everything's accessible right here. Instead of me having to reach up here. But once I get up to height, then that's when I want to have a longer bridge. Because one thing you guys, which you'll notice with the saddles, is that once you get up to saddle height, when you go to get comfortable in saddle height, all right, the shorter your bridge, maybe I should do it this way, the shorter your bridge, the more you're going to get hip pinch.
Yeah.
Okay? So, we'll bring the system back down. So when your bridge is short, what that's doing is that's drawing your D loops in.
It's pulling it in
really
tighter on
tight. So you're gonna get a lot of hip pinch if you tried to hunt it in this way. Okay, you're gonna only be able to sit here for so long until eventually the pressure on your hip's gonna be too great.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm saying once I get up to height, that's when I like to lengthen my bridge.
Yeah, the nice thing about one of the things you'll find, like I said, these are the two most common saddles: the Mantis saddle, Tether Mantis, and the Arrow Hunter Kestrel Flex. I'd say they're probably the top two. And with that one, it's nice because you have that adjustable bridge, but in the Mantis you don't. You just have a fixed Amsteel bridge. The Amsteel is really strong. It's nice. It's comfortable and everything, but it's not adjustable. So.
Right.
That's a nice feature that I really like about that.
And you can buy this anywhere. I mean, you can buy this off of the Arrow Hunter website as well too. I mean, doesn't matter what saddle you run, you can buy an adjustable bridge.
That's nice. You can buy the adjustable bridge and put it on your Mantis if you have a Mantis or whatever one you have.
Right. And like Joe was talking about before, when you're in, with knee pads on and stuff for comfort. Like I said, this is just, this is in the DRT style too. You're going to notice too that it pulls more this way. Yeah. That's why I was saying with in the late season.
If he was tethered in, look, you could kind of see the difference here.
Exactly.
He's DRT.
Exactly.
If he was tethered in,
if I was tethered in,
he's going to have a different angle.
Now my angle. Oh, of course, I'm going to have to shorten up my bridge.
You got to shorten up that one.
Huh? But you can see where the difference is.
Yeah, you can see it right there.
Now I'm more on I guess you would say on a 45-degree angle.
Yep.
So it's more comfortable. Definitely, hours in the saddle sitting this way.
Right.
Versus being tied in above. So DRT to get into the tree and to get out of the tree. But as far as comfort goes, and like I said, it varies.
It might depend on the tree too, because sometimes depending on where you're tied off.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Every tree is a little bit different.
It's a little different, exactly, yeah.
But what happens is you end up losing a little bit. Like Scott likes to stay on his climbing line as much as possible because what will happen is by him having that high tie-in point, he can really wrap himself around the tree.
Right, I have a big pivot, right, and then in a much larger tree too, I can get around that tree. I still have, 300 degrees of shooting capability.
You'll find that when you're tethered in with this setup, you're tethered in like that, a small tree or like a basketball-sized tree, you can get around pretty easy. Mm-hmm. The larger the tree is, it gets a little bit more difficult to go around because your tether, you'll use up more of your tether as you wrap around a large tree. So you might you might want to have a higher tie-in point, and it gives you more tether to get around the tree.
Right.
So there's a lot to learn. There's a lot of aspects to this that you're going to have to find out and learn for yourself. But we figured we just wanted to touch on some of these more basic items and hopefully give you guys something to think about. So what I would do is, if you guys have any questions for us, leave them in the comments section. And, we're pretty good about trying to get back to anybody as quickly as we can. Usually we can get back to you in a couple of days or, maybe the same day, sometimes within minutes. But we you know, we like to help people out. So any questions you have, post them in the comments section. Can't think of anything else we really wanted to touch on right now.
No, I mean, we got a lot of content coming up. Joe and I have been kind of kicking around a lot of ideas. Our hunting season ended 2.5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, you know, between all the holidays, just getting past the holidays now, we got a lot of good content coming up. We want to show you guys a couple new ideas, new things, little quirks here and there. Other than that, you know, everything is just right now, you know, keeping yourself, like I said, when you start doing this, you know, just think of it as anything else, you know, the more you do this, the easier it's going to get. You know, it's no different than going out in the yard and shooting your bow a couple times a week, you know, keep your archery skill. All right, so it's really no different than going out in the yard and practicing with your bow a couple times a week. It's the same with these styles of climbing. Whether you're going to climb DRT, whether you're going to use your sticks, wild edge steps, you know, it's always about the practice. You know, one of the things Joe and I are always, you know, every year it's like, you know, the opening day is like your dress rehearsal, and it's like, you know, even you think you practiced everything right up until that point. Here comes opening day, and there's always something that you forgot. You know, no matter how much you go through it and everything. So that's why, you know, we always preach about practicing. You know, no different, like I said, with your bow. So just practice these styles. You know, when you get your saddle, you know, get out in the yard. You know, and you go through it, you know, a couple times a week. You know, 2, 3, 4 times a week. The more you do it, it's just going to make you a better archer. You know, there's nothing's better than practice.
Yeah.
You know?
Practice when you're shooting out of your saddle. You want to practice from your weak side as much as possible.
Absolutely.
And getting around the tree and just getting very comfortable maneuvering around the tree. I think one of the things too that a lot of people tend to have, some guys get a little bit nervous when they're hunting out of a saddle because, you know, when you're in a tree stand, you're
stationary.
Yeah, you're stationary, and you're using your balance to stay in the tree, and then you're using a safety harness just as a fall restraint if something, or fall arrest in case you were to have a mishap and slip and fall. When you're in a saddle, it's a fall restraint system, and that's what's keeping you in the tree. Basically, your safety harness is constantly keeping you in the tree at all times.
Right.
So it takes a little bit of getting used to, I think, for some guys.
But this is like just pretty. I mean, this is in a garage, obviously. You know, we drag this trunk in here just to show. It makes it easier on rainy days or days that are too cold, whatever. But this is where you should be practicing when you get your saddle. Okay, put your platform a foot, 2 feet off the ground. And just go through all the motions, swinging back, and get used to that swing. Get comfortable with it. Even shoot. Put your target out in the yard. Shoot right from here, okay? Till you can do this, and like it becomes like breathing, all right? And then, you know, there's some guys that, you know, are afraid of heights. So like, you know, here next week, come up 4 feet off the ground, 5 feet, 8 feet, 10 feet, you know, until you get up to work your way up until you get up to hunting heights where you're. That, you know, you're very comfortable. Yeah,
you have to basically get to a point where you have a lot of confidence in your equipment.
Right.
And that's the thing. Once you build that confidence in your equipment, when you understand what you have here, and you take the time to think it through. You know, you've got carabiners that are rated for 5,000 pounds. You've got a tether that's rated for 5,000 pounds. If you're using a climbing line, your climbing line's 5,000 pounds. Your saddle is rated for 5,000 pounds, you know, and then you sit in it and you practice down low, you work your way up, then, you know, by the time the season comes around, you'll feel that much better up there.
You're building confidence.
Yeah.
And it's no different than, you know, in the tree climbing industry, the same thing. You know, when I teach a new guy how to start to climb, that's the biggest obstacle to get by, you know, when he's like, well, you know, and I'm telling him, lean back, lean into your saddle, you know, and they're just like, well, you know, is it going to hold me? You know, you know, when you start, you know, number one is that, you know, constantly go over this thing so you're doing everything right. When you're tying your knots right, you're putting your carabiners in right, everything, all your hitches are right. Like I say, practice at ground level. Once you have the utmost confidence in all of this, the height doesn't even come into it doesn't even come into play anymore, you know.
Yeah, I noticed with me, you know, Scott's a 30-year arborist, and he taught me how to climb DRT in the last couple of years. So I had that learning curve, and I was a little bit nervous, first couple of times. You don't know, and then
Right. You got to build that trust.
Yeah, but it takes a little bit of time. But once the more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Absolutely.
So practice, practice, practice. The other thing is we just wanted to thank everybody for watching. We once again want to encourage you, if you like our content, to please hit like and subscribe.
Please.
And hit that the little bell icon, so anytime we put something out, you'll come up and you'll know. And if you have any questions, again,
Feel free to ask.
Feel free to ask. We like answering questions and engaging with you guys, and it gives us a lot of times. There's times where we'll actually make videos based on your questions.
Yeah, definitely.
So if you have something you want to see us do,
Yeah,
let us
ask
know.
us. Ask
We'll
us.
try to
We'll make a video for it. Like you say, a picture's worth 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you can't get it across in words.
Yeah.
So if there's something you really need to know about, learn this, just ask us. And we'll make a video on it.
Yeah. Yeah, and also there's a lot of information out there. If you click on on Facebook, search for us on Facebook, New York Saddle Hunter Forum, and send us a friend request. It's a little bit easier for us to converse with you there.
Yeah, definitely.
We've actually had created a lot of friendships through it, and kind of networking and stuff.
Yeah.
We're also going to probably try this year to. But last year we were talking about trying to pull together some kind of a meet and greet where we can meet with some guys. A lot of guys are asking us, to show them how to do DRT stuff. Maybe we could pull something together where we can meet up with some guys and show them out, show you guys what we do, how we do it.
And that's easier, like Joe was saying, on Facebook. It's easier to talk back and forth. And but eventually, we'll probably throw a few dates out there. In the probably late spring, early summer, and then like I said, we'll throw a few dates out. We'll see everything, if it gels with the most people, and we'll try to pull something together.
Yeah, but all that stuff we'll probably communicate mostly through our Facebook page.
Yeah.
We'll put something here on the channel as well, but it's a little bit easier to kind of communicate and work with guys. And we've had stuff. We had guys ask us questions, and they'll send us pictures and everything back and forth, and we try to be as helpful as we can. So,
right.
Anything you have, just shoot us a question. We'd love to help you out.
Absolutely, guys.
All right. So thanks for watching. Best of luck and climb safe.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.